One end of the work cable is clamped to the metal being welded, which is commonly called the work. It can also be connected to a metal surface that is in direct contact with the work. The other end of the work cable is connected to the welding machine. The purpose of the work cable is to complete the electrical circuit, returning the welding current that travels from the machine through the work back to the welding machine. This work connection is essential if a steady flow of current is to be maintained. Depending on the welding method being used in the situation, a gas shield is typically used to displace atmosphere from the weld zone. This shield protects the electrode, the arc, and the weld pool, as well as any filler metal, from oxygen, nitrogen, and moisture in the atmosphere. Without a shield, the weld would react with atmospheric gases and produce bubbles, which would reduce the strength of the weld. Shielding is so important that arc welding methods include in their name the shielding technique that they use. For example, submerged arc welding submerges the arc in a pile of granular flux, while gas metal arc welding and gas tungsten arc welding use shield gas. Shield gas can be provided from a central gas supply or from pressurized cylinders. These cylinders often have a regulator to limit gas flow, a flow valve to control gas flow, and a flow indicator to indicate the gas flow rate. Hoses are used to connect the welding equipment to the supply of gas. Selecting a shield gas involves many factors, since the choice of a shield gas affects many welding characteristics. The operation of a gas cylinder is typically performed by the welder's helper. There may be times during a welding job when the welder needs to be able to operate the welding machine using a remote control unit. Although different models of remote controls are available, they all typically allow the welder to control the welding machine and vary current levels. Some examples of remote controls include a foot pedal, which is commonly used in stationary applications, a fingertip dial, which is often used where mobility is required, and a box that has an on-off switch and a current adjustment dial, which is useful in situations where the welder does not have easy access to the welding machine's controls. Now, to check your understanding of the accessories that are commonly used with welding machines, try a question on what we've covered in this part. A welding job begins the same way that any other type of work should begin, with careful preparations. A good first step is to identify the location of the work and determine where, in relation to the work, the welding machine can be set up. If the welding is to be done in a welding shop where the welding equipment is already set up, there's no problem. However, if a portable arc welding machine is being used, it may be difficult to set up the machine close to the work. Also, the work area must be inspected for hazards. It's very important to properly prepare the work before welding. Preparing the work prior to welding removes materials that could weaken the weld. It also removes materials that could make it hard to see the weld. Preparing the metal that is to be joined can be done using a variety of tools, including a pneumatic descaler, a wire brush, a chipping hammer, or a grinder. For example, grinding removes rust, scale, paint, and other materials that could flow into the weld and weaken it. Other preparations, such as cutting, machining, or preheating the pieces to be welded, may also be necessary.